A man was fishing when he suddenly witnessed a terrifying scene. 5 sharks appeared in the ocean, lined up in perfect formation. Before he could react, the 5 sharks launched an attack on him. With a scream, the man disappeared, never to be seen again. Soon after, a mysterious man appeared, and the sharks once again set their sights on him. However, instead of panicking, the man calmly took out a device and pressed a button. To everyone's surprise, the sharks obeyed his command and followed him away. The man's name was Trent, a well-known shark conservationist in the area. He was also a consultant brought in by the research facility to care for the sharks. These 5 dangerous sharks were, in fact, a secret creation of the Research Institute. The story takes place at this mysterious research facility. The head of the facility was Carl, a billionaire in the pharmaceutical industry. Besides his vast wealth, Carl was known for his extraordinary intelligence. Carl had developed a drug called the Smart Pill. As the name suggests, this drug was designed to enhance the intelligence of living creatures. To test its effects, Carl fed 5 freshly made smart pills to 5 sharks with distinct personalities. He also invited several experts from various fields to monitor the sharks in real time. Little did they know, the bull shark's IQ soared to 1,000 times that of a human after ingesting the smart pill. Unsurprisingly, the attack that took place earlier was the bull shark's way of testing humans. Trent brought the sharks back to the base afterward. Anxiously, he asked the control room staff how the sharks had escaped. The staff, confused, insisted that it was impossible for the sharks to have escaped the lab. After a thorough inspection, they found no issues with the underwater electric grid. However, they discovered a serious problem. The sharks had escaped because the sand beneath the electric net had been dug out, creating a hole. Upon hearing this, the team immediately reported the situation to Carl. Unexpectedly, Carl didn't panic. Instead, he gave a sinister smile. This indicated that his experiment might be nearing success. Others in the facility were deeply concerned, believing that the research was too dangerous. With the shark's intelligence now extremely high, a potential escape could lead to catastrophic consequences. Carl reassured them, claiming there was no need to worry. He promised to kill all the sharks once the experiment was successful. However, Carl was unaware that a shark was watching them through the window as they spoke. The entire situation was eerie. The next day, to further test the shark's intelligence, Carl invited Misty, an expert from the Shark Conservation Association, as well as a pair of scientists who specialized in shark research. During a lively discussion, Carl suddenly pushed a staff member into the sea. Misty was horrified by the scene. What was even more terrifying was that the 5 sharks immediately charged toward the fallen staff member. In a desperate attempt to save him, Misty also jumped into the water, but the sharks were too fast. Just as one was about to strike her, Carl ordered Trent to press the remote control, driving the sharks away. After being rescued, Misty furiously rebuked Carl for his actions. Carl coldly defended himself, saying it was all to demonstrate the shark's special abilities. According to Carl, these 5 sharks were products of his experiment, possessing intelligence comparable to humans. As long as they remained under control, they wouldn't disobey the remote's commands. But recently, the sharks' behavior had become increasingly erratic, especially their leader, a female shark named Bella. This was also one of the reasons Carl had invited the experts. As a member of the Shark Conservation Association, Misty immediately sensed something was wrong. She believed Bella might be pregnant, which could explain her aggressive behavior. Upon hearing this, Carl quickly realized the implications. He hurriedly ordered his team to capture Bella. However, just as they were about to confirm the truth, something unexpected happened. While Bella was sedated, her eyes suddenly moved. In the next moment, she lunged at a staff member's arm. Luckily, the staff member reacted quickly and narrowly avoided the bite. Seeing her plan fail, Bella quickly dove back into the water and escaped. When they reported the incident to Carl, he remained indifferent, showing no concern for his staff's safety. He only cared about the sharks that were valuable to him. But what Carl didn't expect was how swiftly Bella would retaliate. In order to avoid being controlled by humans, Bella first sabotaged the base's control room. Then, to prevent Carl from escaping, Bella rammed into yacht. With a loud crash, the yacht's fuel began to leak. Even worse, When the leaking gasoline made contact with the underwater electric grid, it triggered a massive explosion. The surface part of the base was instantly blown to pieces. At the same time, the remaining 4 sharks began their revenge plan. They fiercely rammed the underwater sections of the base. Thanks to their relentless efforts, a huge crack soon appeared in the walls. Seeing this, the personnel inside the base were terrified. Now, almost all the electronic systems had failed. The underwater electric grid was long gone, and they had lost all control over the sharks. This was the sharks' revenge against humanity. Humans had selfishly used the 5 sharks as test subjects for the smart pill experiment. But now, their cruelty had come back to haunt them. After enduring the brutal experiments, the sharks' intelligence had evolved to an astonishing degree. Now, they were 1,000 times smarter than humans. Once they gained their freedom, the sharks launched a swift attack on the base. Meanwhile, the battered survivors gathered to discuss a plan of action. After a brief discussion, they unanimously decided to call for help. However, most of the communications equipment had already been destroyed by the sharks. The only functioning device was a satellite phone located at the top level of the base. To reach it, they would have to leave the base. A brave diver volunteered for the task, but the moment he entered the water, the sharks spotted him. In the nick of time, Trent pulled him back to safety. The diver thought he had narrowly escaped death. Little did he know, one of the sharks had already set its sights on him. In an instant, the diver was devoured by the shark. Everyone was horrified by the gruesome scene. Just as panic spread, the base's walls began to shake violently. The next moment, the entire structure collapsed, and seawater surged inside. The group was scattered in the chaos, swept apart by the rushing water. Seizing the opportunity, Bella and the other sharks swam into the base, attacking the separated individuals. On the other side, Carl, who has done everything to stay alive, has secretly taken a smart pill. Within moments, Carl's intelligence skyrocketed. He quickly devised a plan to reach the top level. His plan was to use Misty as bait to distract the sharks. Surprisingly, Carl's plan worked. The sharks were indeed lured away by Misty. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Carl and Trent rushed to the top level and used the satellite phone to call for help. The two then sat down to wait. Before long, a figure emerged from the water, a survivor, but following closely behind was a dangerous shark.
Misty!
Seeing this, Trent immediately dove into the water to rescue the person. To his surprise, the survivor was none other than Misty, who had been used as bait earlier. Misty, having narrowly escaped death, was furious when she saw Carl. She accused Carl of being a monster, claiming that none of this would have happened if it weren't for him. Carl, however, was unmoved. He coldly responded that many great scientists in history had been labeled monsters by the ignorant, but their achievements were undeniable, and Carl believed he would be no different. As the argument heated up, a drone suddenly appeared, interrupting them. It had been sent by the rescue team to assess the situation, but before anyone could say anything,
Down here!
Bella, in a brilliant move, swallowed the drone whole. With the rescue plan now ruined and Bella's continued ramming causing more tremors, the entire base began to shake violently again. Even the top level was no longer safe. In a last-ditch effort to survive, the group decided to make their way to a nearby lifeboat. But as soon as they entered the water, Bella swam toward them. By now, there was no way to retreat. Carl, the slowest swimmer, quickly became Bella's target. But then something strange happened. Bella caught up to Carl but didn't eat him. Instead, she circled around him. Carl, thinking Bella had finally come to her senses, burst into triumphant laughter, but in the next second, while Bella was distracted, the others managed to reach the lifeboat. After devouring Carl, Bella turned her attention to Trent and the others. With the shark closing in fast, they frantically tried to start the lifeboat, but no matter how hard they tried, the engine wouldn't start. In a desperate move, they grabbed flare guns from the boat and fired at the shark. With two loud bangs, Bella was struck and killed. At last, the the 3 survivors escaped with their lives. Before leaving, to prevent the research data from falling into the wrong hands, they decided to blow up the entire base. However, unbeknownst to them, Bella hadn't completely died. She had successfully given birth to a brood of highly intelligent baby sharks.